the meeting. I forgot last time.
Or sorted,
All right. Don't say anything you don't want forever recorded. You.
right?
Yep.
See why, yeah. Thank you. You,
That's my computer.
Yeah.
you should be muted.
He's okay. He's good.
You can hear
Yeah. Okay.
me.
There we go. That's fine.
Put them some more. Let's see, let's see, see. We're going to have a next lecture this morning is Drew Watts, Seawide, or Hempel. I don't know, it's Seawide.
We're here representing.
Okay, there we go. And he is going to give us a technological discussion this morning on his system. Should be interesting. I'm glad to see it. So, what I do?
First of all, gentlemen, thank you all for coming over today, and very much looking forward to speaking with you guys. Before I get started, how many sailboaters do we have? No power boaters today? All right, one power. It's two power. Okay, all right, great. Because this product is fantastic to both, but I was just curious.
Just and so, we recorded it on Zoom, so other people might look at it later. So you might have other power boaters looking at it later on. Push
United Drew Watts, Brandon Chiflet, unfortunately cannot be here today, but we are with a marine distribution center called CY, and we are the exclusive U.S. distributor for Hempel bottoms. So what we're going to be going over today, we're going to be talking a little bit about Hempel's involvement in the industry. We're going to cover the difference between anti-fouling coatings versus fouling release coatings. We're going to go over the current silicone product list and application, and then we'll briefly go into some other offerings that Hempel. So who is Hempel? Why haven't I heard of Hempel? Why don't I see Hempel in West Marine or Bass Pro Shops or Cabela's or Green Top or wherever you get your marine products? Well, the answer is up until a few years ago, Hempel has really only had a presence overseas. They are not a small company by any means. In 2023, they were a $2.6 billion company. Marine growth, they have been on the steady incline since the early 2000s. As far as what they offer, they do everything from decorative painting, they do marine coatings, they're involved in different type of energy and infrastructure. Their headquarters are based out of Denmark. And in 2023, they had chosen Seawide to be their partner to launch their products in the United States. Sorry, their silicone products in the United States. Truth be told, the Hempel commercial products, which are mostly their traditional copper-based paints, have been in the United States for about 30 years, mostly in Texas. And they have only been offered to the commercial shipyards. And it's not because there's really anything magical or special about them. It's just the paints that they have developed with, again, your traditional coppers and biocides are at a certain percentage and levels that they are technically classified as commercial paints. By the way, if anybody has any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. So Astanoble, which is paint, you're probably all familiar with companies like Pettit, Interlux, Seahawk. So Pettit has actually been the leader in these types of paints for years in North America, and Hempel has been its equivalent overseas. Back in 1915 is when Hempel started. They primarily focused on commercial coatings. And then as of 2014, they expanded heavily to the recreational and retail markets with their silicone paints. They had been dabbling with silicone technology since 2000. Actually got a patent on it and everything. And Hempel really saw the writing on the wall back in the early 2000s. The EPA was pulling more and more percentages of coppers and biocides from paint, which unfortunately is how traditional paints are the most effective. So Hempel really ran with this, and then in 2015, over in Europe, the EPA pulled the copper completely from the recreational market. So recreational boat users could not use copper-based paints. I'm sure everybody here has seen at one point in time copper-free paints. There's lots of them offered out there, and sometimes they work well. However, in plenty of bodies of water, they are simply ineffective or useless if they So that's when Hempel really drove the development of their their silicone paints and created what is known as a fouling release coating. So this kind of goes by the timeline here. So their first patent on a silicone paint was back in 1972. Back in 2000, that is when they created basically their entire silicone system. Mostly up from the early 2000s to 2008, it was mostly again a commercial grade product, designed for better protection on a ship's hull and increased performance, both on fuel and speed. And then again in around 2010 to 2014, and that is when they really started developing the same type of paints for the recreational market. And then fast forward to 2023, they come over to the United States. On that,
Good question.
yes.
Why would there be a difference between what a commercial ship is not and what a recreational boat is?
Were you talking about the copper-based products or the silicone?
Either one.
So the
Silicone,
silicone,
like two different categories,
Mhm.
commercial and private.
so the commercial product does have chemicals in it that require a commercial license.
For application.
For application, yes. When they developed the recreational silicone paints, they use different materials that do not require any type of commercial spraying license.
So is it basically the VOC things that what the fumes coming off when you're putting it on that need to be dealt with?
Yeah. So the recreational silicone products, even though they smell a little funky, they are totally healthy. You don't need industrial ventilation. Again, if you can get past the nasty smell, it isn't going to hurt you.
But the real answer is bureaucratic regulations.
That is definitely sure.
I mean,
Sure.
that it's been banned, bureaucratic. It's not that the product chemically is not good for recreation application. It's just that our tree huggers have said recreation people can use it.
Well, I don't know if it's just tree huggers. I mean, that stuff's nasty.
Decision. It's a policy decision.
Well, they don't trust you to have appropriate ventilation when you're putting it on, that you're not going to kill yourself. Or your neighbors.
That general needs to do with
I would do it. But when I take my recreational boat to a commercial yard and get it apart, because I'm a recreational boat.
I guess that would be up to you.
Okay, I'll
No, you won't.
Well, the tail move on that horse.
So, your traditional, copper-based paints, the way they work, they basically, release copper and other biocides in the water to either kill off or repel any type of plant life, any type of growth. Then after that, the paint manufacturers came out with the ablative concepts, and the ablative, concept or ablative bottom paint, works the same way, but instead of having a hard shell that just releases copper until there's no more left, until the potency goes away and you have to recoat, they came out with the idea of anything that settles on the paint will just eventually slough off. The paint wears away over time, and then you just recoat when the paint is almost completely polished off. Then they came out with products like hydrocoats that have less copper in them and have other metals in them, like zinc and other what they deem as more eco-friendly materials. They have different biocides that, which are basically, they work alongside, coppers or your other additives to help prevent the algae, the slime, barnacles from forming. And then you have the non-eco-friendly copper and biocides that are both terrible for the environment, have pretty awful contaminant factors, and just again work until they're all used up, and then you have to go through your prep work with your top. So again, anti-fouling, it releases a lot of nasty stuff in the water, prevents anything from getting close to it or forming it. The silicone process that Hempel developed is called fouling release, not anti-foul. So the Hempel product is completely copper-free, completely biocide-free. It, instead of releasing a lot of nasty stuff in the water, it disables fouling organisms and keeps them from adhering or attaching firmly to the hull. So that allows any type of growth that does settle to be easily removed from your hull or your painted surface. Unlike traditional bottom paints, where you have lots of different variables that can depend or they can determine what type of paint you want to use, the boat type, the substrate, what kind of water you're going in, what kind of existing bottom paint you currently have. There's a lot of different factors in there that will determine what paint is going to work the best for you. That is not the case with Hempel's fouling release paints. It is good for all types of boats. It is good for all types of substrates. Now it says except wood there. That is a distortion of the truth. You can put this on a wooden boat if you put a thick enough epoxy coating or epoxy barrier coat underneath. It's not something that we like to promote because there are a lot of variables, but at any rate, it is great for both powerboats and sailboats. It is not very heavy. It's a very light paint. It can be applied in any type of condition, and there is absolutely no environmental or legislative restrictions. So
Okay, go back up one. What about the existing code? Talk about that.
So the silicone products can be applied over top of almost any existing traditional type of bottom paints. There are a couple of exceptions because there are some traditional paints nowadays that have been reworked a little bit to try to be more eco-friendly, but kind of uh, almost mimic the type of fouling release ideal that Hempel created, such as like Black Widow, that has graphite, and there's paints that have Teflon and a lot of anti-stick materials in them. Those paints typically will not work in conjunction with the Hempel product. Their primers just will not stick over top of it. The other 98% of traditional bottom paints out there, whether or not it's a bladed paint or a hard bottom paint, you can actually put the Hempel silicone product over top of with the appropriate prep color. Are there any other questions about
Longevity.
longevity of the silicone paint? We will go into that in just a second. So all right, so how has Hempel been able to accomplish this? Well, the fouling release technology that Jay developed back about 13 or 14 years ago, which is copper free, is called hydrogel. And hydrogel is based on unique non-reactive polymers that are added to paint, creating an invisible barrier basically between the hull and the surface of the water. And the way it works is it almost camouflages the painted surface and it perceives itself as a liquid. So it almost tricks, if you will, your barnacles, your mussels, your algae, your slime, any type of living organism that wants to grow on your bottom. It doesn't see a surface to latch onto. It sees a liquid, so nothing thinks that it can actually adhere to the boat or the painted surface. That's what we do here from it's a little video from Hempel kind of explaining the process. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry, guys. I'm gonna sound from.
Hang on 1 second. Just hold for a second, and I can see if I can unmute you. I think, on your computer at the bottom, can you find the unmute button?
Right here.
Sound, color and sound.
That's the best I could do.
That's his.
Yeah.
Use a microphone here. Huh?
Definitely.
Oh, yeah. Damn, I'm pretty rock Bluetooth.
There's a way to make his own to his computer.
Like that, you can put next to his computer. So
That only goes up.
It only goes out to Zoom. It doesn't go into the room. There's one more button on his computer that we need to find.
Was he?
I'll unmute him. I have to get to his Zoom meeting. Let me try one more time. Let me try. Yeah. It's
There we go.
we need a tech person. So.
Take a 5 minute break. I can.
So again,
Wow.
so anyway, guys, sorry about that. So just to review, the Hempel silicone product, the main ingredient that allows it to do what it does is Hempel's fouling release material, if you will, called hydrogel. And as I said, it basically perceives itself as a liquid, and which tricks all of your plant life and anything wants to grow on it. You think with the surface is a liquid, so nothing wants to actually adhere itself to the hull or the painted surface. That paint Hempel refers to as silicone. That is probably the #1 silicone fouling release paints in the recreational market that Hempel offers. That this is a roll-on paint for just a couple of videos. It is the most efficient anti-fouling solution. For boats that stay in the water, you get the hydrogel is designed to protect the boat in the water for 2 straight years at a minimum. Again, it's very easy to apply and maintain. You can roll it on, you can brush it on with the correct type of brush. The benefits of it, obviously, biocide-free, copper-free, so very environmentally friendly. With the silicone products, which is why I brought these toy boats with me today, and I welcome you guys to all. They're actually, I'll just pass some around, guys. So once the paint gets wet, as you guys can tell, it gets nice and slick. So with the smooth slickness that you get with this product, you get speed increase, and you typically get significant fuel savings. In addition to that, it's wet. Unlike other paints, in addition to the slick surface, it stays smooth. It doesn't wear away over time. It doesn't fade. It doesn't oxidize. It doesn't chip off over time when it loses its potency. Once it's on, it stays on. The potency is obviously going to decrease significantly after 2 years because, again, the hydrogel is only good for about 2 years, and then it loses all its magic, and then it's time to recoat. So, the systems and applications for different hulls. So, the initial process for this product, whether or not you're using it on a hull with existing bottom paint, whether or not it's going on a virgin hull or a freshly blasted hull, or whether or not it is going on running gear such as a propeller or trim tabs or a trim system, what have you, is always the same initially. It is a 3-step process. You have a primer, and for your virgin hulls, the purple can that you see up there, which Hempel refers to as their light primer, that is a traditional 2-part epoxy barrier coat. It goes on a little bit smoother than traditional coats do because with this paint, because it's so smooth and shiny, every little imperfection that's underneath of it will stick out like a sore thumb. So that is why they came out with their own epoxy barrier coat and why they very much recommend using theirs versus the competitor barrier coat. If you have the existing paint already on your hull, you can use their conversion primer instead. The conversion primer, instead of building up mill thickness and preventing blisters and keeping your hull nice and sound, the conversion primer is designed to seal whatever traditional paint you already have onto the boat and then allow the Hempel binding agent to then stick to it. So the binding agent they refer to as tie coat. The tie coat is a very key ingredient with the Hempel process because it is the in-between coat that is going to allow the silicone paint to chemically bond to the hull. I'm sure you guys have all come across situations before with other painted surfaces. If the paint gets damaged, if it gets scratched, if it gets chipped, if you hit something, whatever the case, and your paint chips off, it acts as a virus. Water finds a way to intrude, and it just starts infecting the rest of the area, and slowly but surely, eventually compromises the structural integrity of the paint job. Well, that is not the case with the Hempel product because of this tie coat. If you chip or scratch the silicone paint off of your painted surface, because of that tie coat, every other all the area around it is in no way affected. Water will not penetrate or get underneath of that paint, which makes for a very easy repair and touch-up situation. Plus, you won't have to worry about your entire hull getting compromised if you do scratch your paint.
So the recoat process in 2 years, when I go back on the hard, do I just do a final coat?
That is correct, yes, and I'm going to go over that in just a second. But yes, and that is the beauty of this process. So again, you guys won't really have to worry about this because the yards are the ones that are doing well, in most cases, the yards are the ones doing the applications. But this kind of gives you just a quick idea of how this process works, and it also obviously is very temperature dependent on the length of the process. With each of these products, the primer, the binding agent, and the silicone, you have a cure time that you have to follow before you go on to the next step, and then obviously before you launch your boat. With this product, after you apply your silicone paint, you have a minimum of 24 hours before you want to launch the boat to give it enough curing time. And you want to launch your boat within a month or less. After a month of being outside, this is a very moisture-driven product. If it's out of the water for more than a month, the sun, the air, and everything is going to start to drastically break down the components of the hydrogel, and the paint is going to lose its potency. Again, unlike other paints, it's not going to look any different. You're still going to get a very beautiful, slick, smooth, shiny coating, but you're not going to get any type of fouling protection. And here's just a couple of pictures of some yards in the past that have done that have used Hempel on their boats. The Zemi up at the top right is a very interesting boat that was done in Rhode Island a few years ago. That was a 180-foot boat, I believe. The yard used, I want to say, about 25 shipping containers to cradle this boat, and they had a crew. I don't even know how many. I think I want to say 2,000 crew that rolled this product on. And the captain of the Zemi reported that he got under sail, he got almost an additional knot and a half of speed, which on a 180-foot vessel is pretty impressive. So, for those of you that have sailboats, or for those of you that have boats that don't move very often. This product, again, it doesn't kill anything, it doesn't repel anything, it keeps anything from wanting to permanently attach itself. So if the boat sits for a period of time, or if the boat is constantly not going at least 5 knots or higher, you will get some slime, you will get some growth that is going to want to settle on your boat. But the key is it doesn't stick. So it cleans very, very easy. All you have to do is you can use your hands and wipe this, wipe any slime off. You can use a sponge. What you don't want to do is you don't want to use anything aggressive. Stay away from bristle brushes, stay away from scrapers. I don't know if any of you all have divers that go down traditionally. If you do have a diver that goes down to clean your boat, tell him to keep the scraper in the freaking truck. All they need are their hands or a rag or a sponge. So stay away from aggressive methods of cleaning for this product. You don't need it. It will actually do more harm than good. You can pressure wash this product. You can have a boat yard power wash it, so we safely power wash. You typically don't need to, but you can if you have to. Silic One speed improvements. So these are actual this is actual data that we've gotten from boat captains all the way from Rhode Island down to Fort Lauderdale, Florida. An Outback 50 power boats, they saw a 5% improvement. 30-foot main ship that didn't exceed 22 knots. They easily got 24 knots after using this product. Reports of the Tartan 37 that gained an extra knot of speed under sail, and reported the boat overall handled a lot better. And the Tartan 37 is actually a repeat customer that every couple of years sails down the ICW. And she also reported, while she was under power, almost a $40 a day savings in fuel. Just a couple of other boats down here that we've listed that we have data from that have given us their speed increase. This sport fish right here, another. I'm not going to bother doing the video of this because that was an epic failure last time. But this guy right here gained an extra 2.5 knots of speed. Now that is a picture of the boat. This video was taken after the binding agent was applied, the tie coat, which you can see is yellow. As far as the individual steps that you go here, did you think that was the color?
That's ugly. I mean, that would be a deal breaker.
Another beautiful
See
part of the
what you
product
missed.
is process. The in between the steps, there really is no prep work. You apply the product and you go on to the next step. Sanding, there's no stuffing, there's no working at this. So on average, when we compile all of the boats that for years since the silicone product has been frequently used in the market, we see an average of about 4.5% increase in speed and about an average of 7% savings in fuel burn. Now, again, everybody's boat is designed a little bit different. I'm not going to promise you that you're going to get 4% higher in speed or save 7% in fuel. I am going to tell you, however, that we have seen a lot higher percentages than 4%, and we've also seen a lot higher percentages in fuel savings as well. Here's just some pictures here that have been done actually in Virginia from Deltaville down to Norfolk area. Both some sailboats and some power boats, including the one down you see at the bottom left, which is a tender for the Navy Yard. So does anyone here use or are familiar with prop speed? All right, great. So Hempel makes so Hempel's product is kind of half of what prop speed is. And as I said, initially it is a three-step process from the beginning. On a hull, I mentioned the light primer or the conversion primer. Well, on your running gear, Hempel makes a primer specifically for the running gear, which they refer to as Pro Primer. It was also initially developed for large Coast Guard and Navy ships. The product itself is extremely robust. Those of you that have ever worked with prop speed, has anyone here ever actually applied prop speed before? Okay, so Dennis, I don't know what temperature you applied it in, but the annoyance of prop speed is your working time. If you're applying prop speed in temperatures above 75 degrees, you have a very small window to complete the process and put that next step on before it starts gumming up on you and before the entire thing needs to be scrapped and started over. And if any of you guys have ever shopped prop speed before, it is a very expensive coating. So the Pro Primer, you get a much longer working time. After it's mixed, you get a minimum of an hour working time, which is great for any of you that have a pair of props or running gear. It doesn't need to be sanded off upon reapplication. It is a less expensive product and it goes on thicker than prop speed, so you actually get a much better value. Unlike prop speed and unlike other running gear paint similar to prop speed, our product can be easily touched up and repaired. It is the same thing in the running gear. This product, you get 2 years if you're in the water. The primer is the only difference in the rest of the paint and products, which again is the beauty of the Hempel system. They make it very easy. You don't have to buy multiple products to accomplish things. The only difference if you're using this product on, say running gear or on an existing, maybe you have a set of trim tabs that already has an Interlux anti-fouling paint on it, and you want to go over top of that. The primer is the only thing that's different. After that, the binding agent and the paint is all the same. So when it comes to the application, once you go through the primers, everything is done with the same coating, everything is finished with the same coating, everything is touched up with the same coating, and everything is reapplied with the same coating. So it makes it extremely easy. Again, you don't have a ton of different products to choose that you have to choose from. Here's a couple of pictures also right here, some running gear. And as you can see, the boat in the middle, everything except the running gear that was painted with Hempel saw better days as far as growth. As you can see, with the exception of a couple little scratches that happened throughout the season, this is a picture of the boat that was in Fort Pierce, and this is what it looked like when it was hauled out of the water before it was sprayed off, cleaned and everything. As you can see, there's really almost nothing that stuck to that. Word.
Can you go back to full screen? I think when we were dicking with your computer, we got out of full screen. Can you go up to the top right and maybe hit full screen, or does it? We had it better before. No, not there. Up. There, try that. Does that work?
It's not the
No,
X.
that wasn't it. Sorry. There was another one. I forget how we did it before.
It's your letters up in view.
Yeah, this is computer.
So
Yeah. Does anybody know Windows presentations?
Digit leaves.
We found it earlier.
Taskbar, see, you got that one on there, or the little number up there in the red. With the Teams icon taskbar. It's highlighted.
That's on his computer.
That's it.
No, it's all on his computer. It's just, he just needs to go to get his slideshow back, and I don't know.
Expert coming forward. Now, see, we are.
Stop presenting.
Yeah.
We'd all just stand up and walk right up to the screen. Yes.
Pretty much.
It's one of them. Or right clicking on the presentation, so. It's not the, there's gotta be a view somewhere.
Yeah, it's a view in slide. It's in slideshow. Yeah.
It's just Windows slideshow, right?
The annoying thing is we had it before. Yeah.
I don't work, it's early. Work from home.
Yeah, it's a slideshow. It's something on the slideshow.
So.
No, that's CL slides.
They're pretty good.
Advocate for us. What's a box of this is.
No. Oh well.
Let's get it further up in.
Where's Russ when we need him?
Retired.
No, it's just we had it better before. I don't know what we did. We fucked it up.
Can't see it, stand up and walk closer to the screen. See pretty good when I go all the way up.
That's right.
Drew, does that
Now
pro
it's even-
come in
it's in the left.
smaller back?
What's that?
Does that pro primer come in small amounts for running gear? Sports.
Quarts and gallons.
How long does it last once you open it?
Once you pop the top. Oh wait, that pro primer's part, right?
Yes, so if it's mixed, then
Oh.
pot life is roughly about 2-3 hours depending on the temperature. Unmixed, you have about a year shelf life.
Okay. So you gotta get all the sailboats lined up. When you start.
That's
I
right.
can't imagine it would take that much on a 1-inch shaft.
And I'm glad you mentioned that. And again, I don't know if again, this paint right now is only available to boat yards. It's not available for over-the-counter sales. Now, that being said, if you have a yard and you're interested in this product and you want to do this application yourself and the yard is fine with you doing it, that's totally up to them. The single parts components, like the silicone paint and the binders, even though they are single part, they also do have a pot life, which is why this paint is sold in smaller quantities. You cannot buy the silicone product in gallons. It's sold in quarts and half gallons. Pricing is the same. For example, a quart is $100, and a half gallon is $200. They don't market it so that they try to get you to buy the larger quantity of wasted. The idea is actually the opposite. The idea is that you will waste the least amount of money and product as possible when you paint your boat. Here's a couple more pictures of the prop process. You can see on the top left, you have the bare prop. Step number 1 is on the top right, where it shows the application of primer. Step 2 is on the bottom left, which shows the props after the binder was applied, and finally, the final step down at the bottom right shows the finished product. Here's some other close-ups of kind of what pods and running gear looks like after it's been painted. I know my opinion's a little biased here because we love Hempel, but I think that that is a lot more attractive than the mustard gold color that our competitors. All right, so that is basically the roll-on and brush-on paint in a nutshell. Now, they also have a version of this called Hempel Pro, which is basically everything that I just told you in a spray version. Now, there are a few differences in the Hempel Pro spray version, mostly with the amount of hydrogel and the VOCs that they use. And with the Hempel Pro, which is a little bit more expensive, that is a 3-year paint in the water. So for any of you that want to avoid hauling your boat out as long as humanly possible, the Hempel Pro is the longest lasting paint on the on the recreational side that Hempel offers in the cylinder products.
So do you think around here they would allow you to spray that, the commercial yard, spray it without being in a booth or tented? Because of the VOC?
Yes, because this product is actually applied with an airless sprayer. It is not applied like a topside paint. I have been inside paint booths when this product has been sprayed, and I've been outside. After this paint is sprayed, any overspray immediately drops right to the bottom. We've had boats that have been sitting 4 or 5 feet from the boat that we're spraying, and no overspray whatsoever on the other boats. It's a very amazing, it's a very amazing product that they is sprayed.
Does it go on with the same mill thickness or is it a little bit thinner when the final application?
Good question, and same mill thickness, but the primers in the Hempel spray are slightly different. It's actually a 2-step process versus a 3-step process. The spray on primer and binder is basically one product. So the advantages of Hempel Pro, reducing CO2 emissions, improve cruising times and this holds true to with any silicone products, but improve cruising times as reduced drag leads to real world speed gains. Again, average of 6% fuel savings at normal cruising speed. And most of the way that this is able to be accomplished is because, especially with boats that are under power, you're able to back off of the RPMs by a good 600 or 700 RPMs and accomplish the same speed, because this slick paint just allows the boat to glide through the water.
Did you say the Pro can be rolled on?
The Pro cannot be the primer for the
No, the top coat.
propellers.
The top coat, just for the Hempel Pro.
Not for the Hempel Pro, no.
It has to be sprayed.
The Hempel Pro has to be sprayed. Now the Silicon One, the 2-year paint can be rolled up, or has to be rolled up. And here's just kind of a quick rundown of the process as far as the Hempel Pro goes. If for a bear haul, you do still need to have some you still need to have a barrier coat. You still need to have some mill thickness built up. But for boats with traditional anti-fouling paint already on it, you can skip the conversion primer step, and again, their conversion primer and binding agent is kind of all in one product. Here are a couple of pictures of some boats that have been sprayed, and the spray for those of you that are very meticulous, I mean, the spray is quite amazing the way it looks. I mean, it makes your bottom look like you have just had it all ripped almost, and that's the way it stays. But more importantly, there's just no resistance whatsoever. So that again is how the boat is able to increase speed and save on fuel burn. There's other pictures of humongous catamaran that was done in Rabovich, Florida. So next on the Hempel silicone and what we were getting ready to talk about with the reapplication
But
process.
before you go on, one, but. So
Yes.
Can you top coat, if you already have the slick one on, can you top coat it with the spray? You know, when it's time to do the maintenance, can you find a yard that does the spray to do it? On top of what we've got? Or are you stuck in that?
No, you can, but you can't go the opposite way. You cannot put the roll-on paint on top of the spray, but you can put the spray on top of the roll.
So you're committed to that once you do.
Yes,
Have you ever tried to soda blast this stuff off when it's time?
yes.
It'll soda blast off?
It will soda blast off, but honestly, the best way to remove this product is to get a paint stripper.
Mm.
There are lots of paint strippers out there that will delaminate the silicone and allow it to very easily come off. We have had boats that have had this blasted off, and yes, it is definitely the easier way to remove this product. It is almost impossible to sand this off with a regular orbital sander. It'll just gum up the sanding discs, and you'll be out there all day.
Yeah, I have a rule on my boat that I do not allow silicone caulking on board for that reason, because once
Yeah.
you put silicone somewhere, nothing else is ever going to stick. Once you
That's
put
right.
this on with a paint stripper, it'll come off and you can get something else to stick to it.
That's right. That's right.
It's not a lifetime commitment.
The best features and benefits of this product is the lack of prep that you have to do when it comes time to recoat. So before I go into this, I want to kind of emphasize because something here, boat yards have kind of been off with this product. A lot of them love it. Some people haven't really gotten on board yet for a mixture of reasons. The paint itself has been proven to simply work much better all the way around than traditional bottom paints. With again, a 100% eco-friendly approach. When you go to reapply this product, you have one of two options. If your boat is going to stay in the water year-round and you want to maximize the longevity of the product before you recoat, then you would pull the boat out after 2 years. All you have to do is rinse the hull or painted substrate. Anything that's on there should easily come right off with a sponge or again a power washer or a rag. You rinse it, you wipe it clean, and then you roll on just another coat of the top portion, the silicone paint right on top. As you guys know, silicone sticks to one thing, and that's silicone. Nothing else wants to stick to it. So the additional coat will bind right to itself. You wait a minimum of 24 hours. You launch the boat. You're good for another 2 years. Now, for those of you that come out in the wintertime, you would be adding another layer of paint, and you would be essentially wasting a year of its life because the product does not survive being out of the water for longer than a month and still be as effective as far as fouling protection. So about 6 years ago, Hempel came out with a reactivation coating product called Infinity, which is a huge game changer, especially for running gear and for seasonal boat bottoms. So you can keep adding layers of paint forever. Hempel says that after about 6 layers, they can no longer guarantee the percentage that you will be increasing in speed, nor the percentage that you will be increasing in fuel you will be decreasing in fuel. After a number of layers of product, the performance is kind of undetermined. But just to put it into perspective, if you did just recoat, you've got between 10 and 12 years before you guys should ever have to even think about stripping this product back down to barrier coat and starting over again. The Infinity reactivation coating has changed that. So instead of recoating your boat every 2 years or recoating your boat every year, if you are a seasonal boater, you can just roll on or wipe on a coat of the reactivation gel, basically a clear gel that you roll on. Then same thing, minimum 24 hours, you launch the boat and the gel comes off of the paint. Or you can go back to 24 hours later and close the gel off and launch the boat. And that reactivation coating restores the hydrogel in the Hempel silicone paint for up to 12 months. So now you can refresh your paint without adding a layer for an entire season. You can use that product on the silicone paint forever, as long as there's good, as long as there's good paint. Now, naturally, if the paint is compromised, if it's been scratched off, been damaged, been chipped, what have you, then you do have to recoat. But as long as you have good paint, you can use that reactivation coating forever. And what a lot of boaters do is they'll kind of alternate. They'll paint all the silicone product, launch it. Then come out in the winter, put the gel on. Do that for 3 seasons. And then after that, the paint probably has some scuffs and some scratches. They bring it out, then they recoat, put it back in the water, and then use the gel for another 3 seasons. So this allows you guys to, in some cases, quadruple the longevity of the product before you would even have to think about stripping it down and starting over again.
The gel put on right as you take it out, or?
No, right before you put it back in. Right before you put it back in. And the gel, you have about the same cure times, and you have about the same minimum and maximum time that you want to get it in the water. 24 hours minimum, 4 weeks max.
With what you said about the layers and you couldn't go for spraying, so you're spraying, you say you get 3 years. So in theory, you could haul it every 3 years, just respray it. Is that all you need to do?
Or you haul it out every year after your 3-year mark, you haul it out every year and use the Infinity.
But I haul as little as possible. So when you could theoretically go 15 years before you need to.
And with the spray, your coating is even lighter, so the layers of paint are reduced.
But the recharger, you can use that on the spray as well as on the roll-on.
I'm sorry?
The recharger can be used on both the spray and the roll-on.
That's correct. That's correct.
You could buy those supports. Think the bottom. You have to put it in the water within 24 hours, so how do you change the parts that are supports?
Minimum of 24 hours. Minimum of 24 hours.
Actually,
You need 24 hours for the paint to cure before you want to launch it. You
can move your supports in 24 hours.
Yes.
The parts that are.
Absolutely. Yes, exactly. You don't want to wait longer than 4 weeks to launch, because that amount of time being out of the water will affect the longevity of the hydrogel.
I have a question about that. You say about being out of the water. Have people had problems around the water line where, that paint is in the sun a lot, and do they get a slime ring around the boat there? Or?
This is very few and far between. We have seen some boats in very calm bodies of water where there's, no chop, that sit there for countless months. In those unique situations, yes, the hydrogel along the water line that's above the water does start to lose its potency a lot faster, and you could see some slime settling. They're a little bit faster than the rest of the hull. But again, everything just easily wipes right off with your fingers or with the sponge. But again, in most bodies of water, there is at least a little bit of chop, and you're you don't get the paint isn't out of the water for a consistent 4 week straight, hardly ever. Again, the situation that I'm referring to, I think it was on Lake Lanier with a big trawler that we were involved with. And again, this is a body of water that's a very stagnant, just very almost like a milk pond. But again, very few and far between issues with that.
So what you're saying is if we use the boat,
There you go.
it'll be okay, and if we don't use the boat, leave it at the slip, well, then we might have to clean it a little more often.
But correct,
There you go.
correct. But again, unlike traditional paints where you risk growth actually adhering to the bottom,
Right.
growth is not going to adhere to your boat with the silicone product. It may settle, but it's not going to adhere. You should never see a boat with Hempel silicone paint on it that has barnacle rings. They just can't adhere. They won't adhere. Now, again, if you don't go through the proper recoating and everything, if the paint loses potency and it sits in the water for another 2 years, well, then yeah, eventually you're gonna get stuff to penetrate that. But as long as you keep up with, the amount of time that you get with the paint, then nothing should adhere. This just kind of goes over the ways you can apply the Infinity. You can use a paint roller, you can use a paint brush, you can use like a applicator pad. And this is kind of going back to what I was talking about the yards. So, we have some yards that very much promote this stuff, and then we also have yards that want to stay away from this. And the reason why a lot of yards want to stay away from it is because this, for them, I'm not trying to pick on boat yards here. Boat yards are our friends, but a lot of their revenue comes from spring commissioning, like bottom paints. This takes a lot of the labor that they charge their customers out of the equation because there is no sanding anymore. There is no scrubbing or scraping or wiping down with nasty solvents before you need to reapply. The process could not be simpler, and it also is a lot less lengthy. With the Infinity product, it's even less than that. Anybody that gets their boat painted at a yard with the Hempel silicone product, you guys can easily coat on the reactivation coating and then put your boat back in the water or have the yard do it. Well, yards don't really like that. So I just kind of wanted to throw that out there because there are not a lot of yards out there that really promote this product. While they offer it, they really don't. Some of them really don't promote it yet because it's money off their plate.
So you gotta ask for it.
What's that?
You gotta ask for it.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, there are plenty of yards that do very much promote this product and believe in it and have lived the success. The yard that Mr. Cuff is getting his boat painted at in Deltaville, they have done numerous boats, mostly sailboats, numerous boats with the Hempel product, both the roll-on Silt 1 as well as the spray-on Hempel product. And again, it kind of depends on which yard you go to. But again, I just wanted to throw that out there because some of you might be thinking, well, again, I've never heard of this stuff before. And while it has only been in the United States for a few years now, every yard is not getting behind this stuff. So then we have what's called Tempespeed. This is more for your boaters that want to have some protection on their bottom. They want the bottom to either look a lot more aesthetically pleasing, or they want a nice, slick, smooth surface, maybe for racing, but the boat does not stay in the water continuously. Are there any of you that puts their boat on a boat lift or constantly takes their boat out of the water for maintenance or anything like that? No, okay. So I won't spend too much time with the Hempel Speed, but basically it is an acrylic finish. So the reason why this paint is more intended for those that constantly come in and out of water is because of the hard acrylic finish that you get. This stuff will not scratch very easily at all, not get scuffed. The Silic one is not designed to constantly drag in and out of the water on a boat lift, on a trailer, because eventually you can certainly scratch the product. Whereas the acrylic finish is a lot more robust, it's a lot more durable, but it does not have the potency to stay in the water without being cleaned for more than, depending on where you are, an average of about 4 or 5 weeks. Like the Silic one though, however, it is, you do get that slick, smooth finish. And unlike traditional bottom paints that want to wear away over time, which eventually causes imperfections in the hull and uneven areas and uneven patches of paint in the hull, which ultimately slow you guys down, reduces your speed, and increases the amount of fuel you use. The process is very similar with the Hempel Speed product. You have, if you're going on a bare hull, it's a 3-step process. If you are going on a boat with pre-existing paint on it, you don't need the binding agent. The acrylic paint can go right on top of your conversion primer. So if any of you guys know anyone that keeps their boat on a boat lift, or if anybody has a dinghy or perhaps a boat that does not stay in the water for a very long period of time, and they are a little bit more meticulous and they want protection, but they don't want that nasty, chalky, runny looking traditional look to the bottom, the Hempel Speed product is a great option for them. Just some of the other traditional products that Hempel does offer. Now, again, this is not for over the counter. This is only available at yards. Their Olympic and Globic paints. These are their traditional copper-based paints designed and developed for the commercial market. And again, they are available for your local yards if you guys want to use them. There's absolutely nothing magical about Hempel's paints versus some of the other traditional name brand paints that you see, such as Interlux Micron CSC, Pettit Odyssey, Seawalk Copper Coat. This is very similar to those paints. The difference is the price. It is just a lot less expensive than those other paints. It's not because of the lack of quality, it's just because these products have been developed and just kind of available only to the commercial market, which doesn't pay over-the-counter pricing like you do at West Marine or Jamestown or wherever. Quattro is their equivalent to Pettit Protect or Pettit Protect 2000. Again, nothing special about it. It's just a very robust, high solids, 2-part epoxy barrier coat that is a lot less expensive than the competition. So for any of you DIY people that do not want to switch to the silicone and want a traditional paint, make sure you ask your yards if you are interested to get you guys the Hempel Olympic paint, or if you're doing a bare bottom and you want the barrier coat, to get Hempel Quattro. You guys will save, in some cases, 40%. On average, between 30 and 40% on Hempel's product versus the stuff that you get at your local marine supply store. And it just goes into a little bit about the copper. Here are your colors for the standard copper-based products. Unfortunately, they do not make a green. Their color choices are black, blue, and red. That is also the same with the Silik One. Your choices are also black, blue, and red as well. I can't remember if I went over that when we were talking about the products.
When you talk about Olympic, is this the HI 766 on this?
I think so. Yes. Yes, the 76600. Now that stuff retails for about $225. And it is the equivalent of a $400 gallon of paint that you would buy at a typical supply shop. But again, you can only buy it from your local boat yards. But here's just a brief summary on the Quattro, which is their equivalent to the Interlux Interprotect 2000 or the Pettit Protect. This primer is actually almost twice as thick as Interlux's or Pettit's version, so you can actually get away with using less coats of this. I don't know if any of you guys would ever want to do a virgin hull or a glass hull and do the barrier job, but if you do, the Quattro is a fantastic price point. It retails for about $90 a gallon. The equivalent in Interlux and Pettit, which by the way, you typically have to use twice as much on, is usually around $140 to $150 a gallon. So that is Hempel, you guys, in a nutshell. Sorry for the technical difficulties here. I think that caused me to flip flop a little bit on some of these points here. But does anyone have any questions on either of the products? The silicone, Silik One, the Hempacil spray, the Hempaspeed TF, or the Olympic copper-based paint.
Talk about the self-cleaning. How often do you need to be out? How fast do you need to be going in order to, and if it's self-cleaning, can you completely avoid having to go to swim and wipe it down?
So the obviously the conditions are going to change with everybody's boat's designed a little bit differently, and conditions are a little bit different everywhere. But on average, as long as all you need to do to get this paint, the silicone paint, to self-clean is hit 5 knots. And anything that is settled should just slough right off. And anything that hasn't, again, you should just be able to remove with your hands or a soft sponge or wash it with no with virtually no effort whatsoever. I had attempted last night to put this video on this presentation here, and I couldn't figure it out. I am going to attempt to show this to you guys with my small phone screen. I'll just kind of walk around and show it. There is one of our yards in Maryland put this paint to the test last year. They painted a little Cape Horn center console with this product, and they purposely let it sit in the Chesapeake for 6 months. It stayed in until December 19th when they pulled it out. So they left it in from around July all the way up to December without it moving. And so as you guys, I'll show it this side first and then this side. So as you can see, there's some slime on the boat, a little bit of growth, nothing too terrible. And without even using a pressure washer, with just a regular hose, just about every bit of this growth and slime just comes right off. And as you can see, it's just beating right off of the product. And any of the leftover there, they're just able to just, easily move with its finger. So it is if again, I can't speak highly enough of the product as far as how well it does with the foulings. Here you go, guys. You guys can see this. So sorry. So everything that kind of settled on this, again, he's not even using a power washer, just a regular garden hose, and the majority of it just comes right off. You can see just how slick and smooth this is. The water's just beating right off of it. Anything that's kind of left over there, he just takes right off.
I'm gonna be the guinea pig.
So again, it's an amazing product. It is a little bit of a game changer. And while it is still somewhat new in the United States, there aren't a ton of people using it yet, but a lot more yards are falling in love with it, and a lot more boaters are falling in love with it also. The first process, or the initial process, is definitely, I will lie full transparency, the initial application process is the lengthiest and most costly part of the application. Guys, some of you might get sticker shocked with the initial application, because you have to go through all three steps, all three, products. But then after that, you easily make up your money, and you then very quickly start saving money. Not just, from the speed of the fuel aspect, but the, again, reduction in prep work, in labor, and in product you'll have to use after that initial process. And just to put it in perspective for you guys, the Silic One, the roll-on product, retails for roughly about $400 a gallon. So it's not the least expensive paint out there, obviously, but it is certainly not the most expensive. The primers and the binding agents, you guys are talking roughly about $200 a gallon, a combination. So about around $100 per gallon for each the primer and the binding agents. And then after that, if you're using the Infinity reapplication coating is roughly about $180 a gallon. And you only need to roll on or brush on or roll on just a coat of it, hose it off, or again, just put it back in water, it falls off, and you're good.
So,
Shelf life on.
Once the Infinity is open, you have a year shelf life. That's another thing. I don't think I may have tapped on this, but the primers that are two-part, once they're mixed, you have a pot life of about a few hours. The silicone paint and the binding agents, while it is single part, those also have a pot life. Once you pop the can, you must use it. You cannot seal this product up and go back hours or days or weeks or months later and use it. It will not work. It will solidify. It's no good anymore. Which again is why, if any of you guys decide to use this product and get a quote from your yard, you will probably see that they break it down into quarts. And the reason is because they don't want you guys to pay or waste any more than less than a quart product.
I have a quote from Norton's. They're gonna do my boat, and both the quote for the spray on and the roll on were identical. And I think the reason is because you have that extra coat that they need on the roll on, and they don't need to make a booth or anything. So the labor isn't that much different between spraying and rolling. So if I get extra year out of it, I'm going to go with a spray on for that reason.
And it takes the yard. If you guys have a yard that is comfortable spraying, it takes the yard a fraction of the time to spray the bottom of the boat than to roll and brush the product on. And for any of you power boaters, or for any of your powerboat friends that have that want to paint their running gear, want to paint the entire bottom, or for any of you guys that have sail drives, or any little nooks and crannies in your hull or in your running gear where it's hard to get into with a roller or a brush, the spray on is obviously a lot more effective because you can easily get into all of those little nooks and crannies.
I used the speed prop or whatever that is, prop speed on my running gear when I hauled 3 years ago, and it lasted about 6 months. And that's probably it might be. I'm thinking that it was me because maybe I didn't get the primer or something right. Because that to me is the running gear for my boat is what really makes a huge difference in the speed. I mean, literally sitting out here with, because there's nothing on it now, even after a week, two at the most, I have to get under and scrape because the slightest little barnacle on my prop, I can tell a half knot of speed and I can tell the engine's working harder. It's just, I mean, I literally, if I'm going on a long trip, I have to go swimming before I go anywhere and just make sure my prop's clean because I can tell the big difference. That's what I'm really hoping that the stuff works on the prop better than the prop speed does.
Yeah, and also, you guys, I of course didn't want to come here and give anyone the impression that I am trash talking anyone else's product. Prop speed. A lot of people like it, and it's a decent product. The biggest, the biggest I would say, the feedback that we get from yards when it comes to prop speed is the cost. Because it's not just an initial cost. You are paying the exact same amount every year or two because you have to strip it all off and go through the same process and the same amount of money and the same amount of labor every year or every other year. Whereas with our product, you do not have to do that. And there's just saving so much time and money and product with the Hempel alternative than you would with the other guys.
I was a beta tester for a petted trial product to compete with prop speed. And it did not work.
Which didn't work, the petted or the prop speed?
It didn't.
Yeah, yeah.
Both Interlux and Pettits have attempted this multiple times, and the patent that Hempel has on their silicone fouling release materials or their silicone products, the technology that they have, which has made this paint so effective, nobody can get around that patent, and that is a big reason why Interlux and Pettit's attempts to duplicate it has failed. Interlux had actually came out with a version similar to what you're talking about of Pettit's a few years prior, and if I remember correctly, and this is back to my years at either my West Marine years or my boatyard years, that the product was so lousy, it was pulled off of shelves within 2 months' time because it just did not work. So
We have to recognize we're in a very tough environment. This marina right here is as tough as it gets.
Oh, yeah.
Anywhere. So are you going to avoid a diver? No. You're still gonna have a diver because you're gonna get enough slime. And unfortunately, I'm not trashing your product. It's just any product. It's just really a tough environment.
Well, in theory, though, if you're using your boat, it
In
should,
theory.
in theory, we'll see. I'll be the guinea pig.
Well, we've got another guinea pig in here.
Oh, do we? All right.
if you can achieve 5 knots or more, anything that is should slough right off at least 98% of it. And again, those tiny little areas for something may just be lingering a little bit tougher using your fingers or just again a rag or a sponge should just come. The stuff should just come right off. And I don't want to sound dramatic when I say this, but again, the writing is on the wall. The EPA is not going anywhere. Well, maybe it is. I don't know.
Yeah.
The hoppers, the biocides that are being used just every year are being more and more pulled out of traditional paints, which surprisingly enough does not seem to affect the price of those paints. But the paints are getting more expensive and they're becoming less effective. Exactly. And that is not going away. And until somebody else there probably will be eventually, but as of now, nobody has figured out a real effective substitute for those materials that work in brackish and salt water. They just haven't. So again, with this product, it doesn't matter if you're boating in freshwater, salt water, in brackish water, hot water, cold water, it doesn't matter. The technology that they're using and this hydrogel concept in the paint just keeps anything from, again, wanting to penetrate that surface. So once more, it is a game changer. It is a fantastic product. And any of you who are interested, I encourage you to shoot me an email. There are a ton of videos and pictures and links and testimonials that I can send you for people both inside the United States and outside the United States that have had their boats painted. There are 2 local applicators right now in this area, in the Norfolk, Virginia Beach area. There are several applicators from Hampton all the way up through Deltaville. Well, when I say several, about 6 or 7 applicators.
That's all right.
What's that?
That's all right.
So, wherever you guys have your boats, there should be a relatively close applicator that can either come to you or you guys can go to them to get this product.
What are the 2 here in this area?
One is Thompson Boat Works, who is in Virginia Beach, and then the other one who mostly uses Salty Creek Marina near the Newport News, Suffolk area is Marine Electric and Services. And then in Deltaville, there's Deltaville Boat Yard, there's Morton Yachts, there's Stingray Point, Safe Harbor Blue Water in Hampton is technically an applicator. I don't think they've really gotten on board with this product yet. I won't speak for anybody, but I think they're a little apprehensive to lose a lot of that labor. But yeah, there are multiple applicators in the Virginia area. So if any of you are interested in using this product, again, please shoot me an email or call me on my cell and we can put you in touch with that applicator. If any of you want to attempt to use the product, a private product yourself, you can also give me a call. Again, full transparency. We see almost no failures with this product when it's applied correctly. And you typically know if the product has been compromised. If you open up a can and half of it's already solidified and it's, oh, okay, we screwed up when the can was sent over here, it's compromised, okay, don't use the product, we'll get you new products. When the product has not been compromised, you can see it applies very well. The product will not apply well and then all of a sudden just fail because there's a problem with the product. It always fails, it normally fails if there is an application error. So the way that Hempel is set up in the United States, where only the yards technically are supposed to have access to this, but we know there are plenty of DIY yards, there are plenty of very competent people out there that can apply this paint, especially the roll-on. Again, there's really no special magic to it. There's some application pointers that you want to follow, but you don't have to have any type of special gear or, any type of extensive, ridiculous training to put this stuff on. However, if the product does fail because of an application error, which is very easy to determine, Hempel, there might not be that much we can do for you other than sell you some touch-up product and have you touch it up. The yards are held accountable for doing it correctly, so that's of course an advantage if that's going to get done at the yard. They mess up, and the paint gets in areas where the paint doesn't hold, or if it doesn't do what it's supposed to do, the yard will take care of you guys, and you're not out extra money. Does anyone else have any questions?
So here's a quick question. So because the boats that sit a little bit and you start to get the scum on the water line, So traditionally, when we painted boats, we've asked for maybe an extra roller stripe around the side of like maybe a third coat. Do you think that has any advantage with this paint to do that?
Some yards have raised the water line, when switching to this product.
But I mean, just
An extra coat.
an extra coat
Oh,
from the
an
water
extra
line,
coat
like
to
one
beef up the
roller.
hydrogel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you pay, yeah,
Absolutely, and that certainly does help. If you are,
interesting.
if you are someone that doesn't get to use their boat very frequently, that is a great, yes, that is a great way to prevent more slime from from lingering or settling on your water line, is to beef up on that water line.
So you would let the last coat cure and then come back with the
Correct.
stripe and within the requirements.
Correct. And you have an unlimited amount of time, again, to put another coat of this product on top of the silicone product. So, things happen. Let's say you're ready to launch the boat, you put the product on, and oh geez, now all of a sudden I need to do this unexpected thing, and you don't come back to the boat for months. No problem. You can just roll on another coat right on top of what you already have, or use the reactivation gel, and then you're good. You don't have to worry about the paint being compromised and being in a position where you've got to remove anything or undo anything that you've done. There's always with this product, there's always a way to easily, almost effortlessly, refresh the paints.
You said this and I forgot, I'm sorry. So let's do a hypothetical that I'm gonna use this system for 20 years. So when do I? I've got 20 years on my head now. So when realistically do I need to do some kind of strip? What is the product build up? So it's not ablative, it's not gonna go away.
Right.
You're not doing surface prep every time, it's not going away. So it's building and building and building and building. Have we thought about, is there a limit? Can I-
So from a performance standpoint, Hempel says after 6 coats, they will no longer stand behind the performance that they advertise. Now, from a protection standpoint, there is no limit. There's no weight stuff. You can keep recoating forever if you want to. And that's why the reactivation coating is such a game changer, because you can refresh your paints without adding a layer on, as long as you have good paint. Again, most people after 3 or 4 seasons, we see very few boats that will come out immaculate with frequently using it within after 3 or 4 seasons without any scratches, any sort of nicks or dinks on the paint, and which is then more ideal for you to just put on another coat of paint over top, and have a fresh layer. Then you can use the gel as long as the reactivation coating for as long as you want. If you never scratch your paint, if the paint is solid, you can use the reactivation coating forever. There's no limit to it.
Can you put the,
Of those who were present today, how many people have owned this very same boat for more than 20 years? Well, okay, so it's a unique crowd.
I hate to say lifers, but
can you put that over existing, do you think?
absolutely. Unless it's one of those few specialty paints with Teflon or graphite.
Don't worry about it, nobody here is cutting in that.
But yes, the Olympic can go right on top of anybody else's paint. Anybody else's paint can go right on top of Olympic.
I did have copper coat on my boat when I bought it. It was like 6 or 7 years old. And I never, even if I went something different after 3 years of my ownership, because they say after 10 years you got to redo it. But that gets slime right away. It doesn't have any protection against slime, and it does not just wipe off easily. You got to do a little scrubbing. So that's why I was not happy with the copper coat, because you still need to, and they say that you got to go down, but you really need to do something to it every every month or so.
Tough and done.
Yeah,
It's a very tough.
so I was not happy with the copper coat.
And we've seen some tough environments before that certainly take its toll on the silicone paint. But again, I have yet to see, I have yet to see a boat come out with growth that doesn't easily come off. I mean, we've seen boats come out in Hilton Head, we've seen boats come out in Rabovich that look like that have been sitting for several months. It look like they have trees growing on the bottom, off the bottom. And again, with a hand or a rag, it just all sloughs right off. It is, you have to see it to believe it. I'll say that. Yes, sir.
What's the size, for example, for the propeller? First of all, why Hempel doesn't come with the spray can? For the same job? There is not a problem.
For
Spray can for the propeller.
Well, I mean, they had, so the Hempacil, which is basically this
Yeah,
more potent spray version of the Silic one. Unfortunately, that only comes in right now, only in gallon increments or 5 gallon increments. So you would have to have a lot of
propeller.
of propellers to want to go through the expense of spraying. Can I ask why you would want to spray on your crop instead of
No,
rolling?
I just want to protect. It's a story around here. I have to beat my boat. I can because it's a double kilo.
Right.
Why? Because I cannot use my propeller at all. It's barnacles.
It's coming with spray can.
Yeah, spray can.
That's what I'm saying. That's
Yeah, not in a spray can, no. No. You, the Silic One product, they have not been able to make it into an aerosol, yet. The closest thing is the Hempacil product, but again, that comes in large increments.
Or gallon.
So-
One propeller.
4.5 gallons are what's available. Now, a quart, just to put into perspective, a quart of the product is about 20%. You guys are looking at roughly about $300 for the smallest Hempel kit.
Yeah.
For like a prop.
Okay.
Okay. But then after that initial expense, again, you're paying around $40 or $50 to recoat, with just the reactivation coating.
The problem is, we should make a smaller pen than.
Yeah, and I get it, and again, this is the development and also the conundrum of a company that built itself on commercial applications and has been slowly but surely getting more and more into the recreational market. But I agree with you. Believe it or not, they didn't even have ports of the prop primer until we brought them to the United States and partnered up with them and told them flat out, guys, gallons aren't going to work here. Unless the yard has got a few very large boats with twin, prop struts and shafts.
Lined up.
Yeah. So anyway,
how
it
much
is a working process.
So I'm running here. Use. So it comes in a small sinking, how much is going to be using? Well, you got that's all it. How much you.
No.
You got just a shaft and screw, right? So, do you know how much product to take?
Well, I'd have to see the size of the prop and the.
Yes, well, I'm
but-
getting,
but-
few people. Provide.
And a lot of.
Coordinate at the same time, we all out.
So for single screw sailboats, we usually see on average about only a half of the port needed to do the sail drive or the a single prop and shaft. So if you can get a buddy to split the cost and use it on both, then there you go.
Okay. Back to the alternative products, specifically Olympic. Is that a hard paint or an ablative?
They call it a semi-ablative paint. It is ablative, but it is not as soft as some of the other ablative paints on the market today. They're using what they refer to as a smart fiber technology. And the skinny of it, is it keeps it from wearing away inconsistently at a very reduced pace. So it is ablative, it does self-polish, it will slough off over time, just not as easy as, for example, Micron CSC or some of the other guys. The closest paint that's on the market today to the Hempel Olympic is Pettit Odyssey, which is also semi-ablative paint, and I want to say retails for around $390 at West Marine, I want to say. And the Olympic also, for what it's worth, it also has a little bit more of a sheen to it, almost like the Vivid products that Pettit has, with a lot more copper and a lot higher of a biocide percentage.
Thanks.
I know the Pettit Odyssey is really soft. I tell the diver, don't even put your hands on the hull because you bump into it and you end up with blue all over you.
Well, I think that's the Odyssey HD. That's really, I think.
This was the one that had 60% copper in it, the ablative. You pick it up and if the gallon weighs about 500 pounds. It's like it's filled with pennies. So the paint that you put on the running gear, if I get it right, it's that running gear primer, whatever you called it. That's a two-part.
Pro primer, yes.
That's a two-part.
That's a
Okay.
two-part.
And only one coat of that's paint required, or do you need more than one coat?
One coat. However, if you're going to do it yourself, and again, the yards know this, but if you're going to do it yourself with any of these silicone products, it is imperative that you apply it as thick as it's supposed to be applied. If you don't, then there can be adhesion issues, or it just won't protect the substrate like it should. So yes, one coat of the primer is all that's needed, but you have to get that first coat of primer around the 4 or 5 mil thickness.
So then after that, the tie coat, that yellow stuff, everything's normal from that point.
Single part, yeah. You just pour it in a.
But I mean, the same stuff I'd use on the hull for the tie coat, the yellow stuff, and then the top coat, the silicone. Those are the same, right? The same products go on the prop that go on the hull
Yes,
after the primer.
exactly.
Okay.
Could you put Hempel's regular barrier coat on your prop without it hurting it? Yes, of course. It's just, it's probably not going to hold up very well.
So when the yard does it, when they spray, will they just spray the running gear right when they spray the rest of the hull? So they just the only thing they do is first put the primer on the running gear and then just everything just gets sprayed at once. Yeah, but it's a different primer for the running gear than the hull. Yeah, yes. So they just have to prime the running gear separate, and then the tie coat and the final coat that they spray is just all at one application. Doing that at Norton. Yeah.
What's the bottom paint guy doing in Exeter, Pennsylvania?
I'm not in Exeter. That is only where our warehouse is. Yes.
Water.
Yeah, no. There's a bunch in Exeter. There's a ketchup plant, Amazon.
The little stream or stream goes through there. It's not like you're on the bay or.
Just where that is just where the warehouse is. And that's where anybody that would be ordering the product, that is where it's shipped from.
So all these guys that like
Yeah,
numbers,
I guess Exeter is on my part, is it? Yeah.
all the guys that like numbers, when I started from a bare hull after having almost 20 years of ablative and hard paint blasted on, the material cost for whatever the barrier coat is called, and then the tie coat, and then two coats of top paint is about $1,700. We're a 36-foot sailboat. So that's starting from scratch. You know, that doesn't include the soda blasting. I had to have it soda blasted because last time I had paint put on it, the paint was coming off on the roller and you could see the areas of the fiberglass. You know, the gel coat was shiny because whatever they put on at Hunter when it was still in business wasn't, I don't know if they didn't sand the bottom properly or whatever, but their barrier coat was coming right off of the fiberglass. So
You have the silicone? Okay, great. Hunter,
yeah, that's what I was gonna ask about
was
That-
was it done by the two?
Marine Electric.
Okay, yeah, Alan. did. Okay.
So that's why I asked, because my only issue, and it's not an issue, is that I use the really soft brushes, you know, like your deck brush. Because that's the only way I can reach it from the deck. And I'll use that to clean the water line a little bit. That's what I was thinking, another coat of that. Because I'm gonna have it hauled pretty soon to do the running gear.
Yeah, honestly, even the soft brush, even the soft scrub brushes scare me. Do yourself a favor and go to a West Marine and get one of those wash Schmidt attachments that go on the end of those poles. That should be what you're using. Well, no, I'm glad. So did you notice a speed increase?
Oh, yeah, as soon, and that was even after we hung a external bow thruster on it.
Excellent.
One of those little torpedo looking ones. Tell you what, that's the best addition I've ever made. I can spin that thing.
Here's my bow thruster.
That's right.
And Cobb's, when it got time to launch him, Cobb's was all concerned about launching him because they were afraid the slings were going to slide off the boat because it was so sleek.
Yeah, David's pretty smart. What he ended up doing was, well, that was the original thought, but then David looks at it, he's got the boat hanging in the slings, he picks it up. And then he ran the trolleys inward so the slings are setting at about, I measured it, of course. It's somewhere between 5 and 7 degrees to make sure that the slings were always pulling, you know, toward the middle. There was a force toward the middle. It's just a shoal draft deal. It's not a full.
I'm concerned about the forward end if I do this.
I would say, so launching the boats is typically not a concern because the paint isn't going to be wet and slip. Actually, we recommend that the yard around where the slings go to prevent any type of chafing around on more rounded hull, it's not a problem. But if you have a sharp, chine or
I have a trawler.
yeah. To prevent chafing right against the edges, we tell the yard to spray the area with water or wipe a little bit of like baby powder or talcum powder where the slings are going to go to give it a little bit of give so that it doesn't pull on the dry silicone paint and again it'll prevent any little chafing around the very corner there. And again, chafing isn't the end of the world. You can easily just touch it up, but paying all this money, you want a perfect job when you go in the water,
I
right?
do.
Yeah. So, but yes, most yards know to tie the slings together when they haul a boat out with this product on the haul.
I have a material cost for spraying an estimated $2,000 for 43-foot boat, so that,
Yeah.
but that's all, that doesn't, I don't need the barrier codes. So
Oh, okay. And I hired a painter to do it.
It is not the.
that's just the material cost, yeah.
Get enough money that you should save down the road, not only on reapplying the product, but on labor and upkeep, in addition to the fuel savings and the speed.
Good question. Save it.
I think you guys are gonna find that, it doesn't take too long to recoup your extra money you spent, with this product.
27 and a half years, didn't you? But it's very neat.
I'm hoping to fire my diver. That's my goal. Well, if it's quick, I can do it. If it's just wiping, I can do it. But if it's scrubbing, I can't do it. Yeah, yeah. If I can just go, because I can just hold my breath and go, I can do that, But if I have to, if I have to go more than one pass over any area and then check it and stuff, that takes a lot longer. That's what I'll let you know. Yeah.
Last year, and a boat next to him sank halfway through the season. And oil and diesel fuels leaked out of that thing, and the entire marina it was just disgusting. There was a gentleman that had his, I believe it was a Grand Banks, painted with the Hempel product. And he painted his blue, and when it came out of the water, it was jet black because of all the oil. And he sent me a video of him with a wet paper towel, just taking the oil just right off of the silicone. It did not stick. It just kind of settled. It was pretty incredible.
Wrap it up.
Great. One more question?
Yeah.
Great job.
Yeah.
Thanks, Stu. Appreciate everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Memorial Rapids, it's fourth, on Silver.